allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
All right, Wyatt,
Here.
Reister,
Here.
Sewell. Here. Buns,
Present.
Lawson.
Here.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Motion for the consent agenda? For approval of that?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? Motion carried. All right, welcome everyone that's here tonight. Good to see everyone. We'll move on to committee reports. First is the Public Works Committee meeting.
Do you want me to do it?
I was just gonna say, I wonder. I
Jake, do
figured
you wanna do it?
I
No?
don't remember.
Oh. Come on now. Okay, so the first item that we discussed was underground water, an underground water facilities purchase. It's basically, Nick has he has an inventory of some items that he needs for water main breaks, but he wanted to purchase so that he had 2 of everything that he needed in the event that they had something come up that needed more parts than what he had. And because the cost of the parts keep going up, he just wanted to get it purchased now rather than waiting, and they didn't have them in stock. We discussed the roof at City Hall. I received a quote from D&G Metal Works to replace the fascia that is on the roof that we've been talking about for a few years. The quote does not include painting. The building inspector has already looked at the quote and said that everything looks the way that it should. The cost for the project is $43,800, and the funds will come from the General Government Reserve Fund. So that is on tonight's agenda for your approval. I just gave a quick update on the City Hall and Community Center updates and showed the committee the cost estimates that came in a lot more than what I was expecting. And so tonight I have on the agenda to discuss and set a work session to kind of go through it, and we can go through it with Envision and kind of figure something out. Other than that, that was all that we talked about, and we adjourned at 7:15.
Public Safety Committee meeting. Kate?
We met on August 24th. First thing we talked about is the new TASER contract. This is the same company we have used for TASER contracts, but we're replacing it a year early, signing on for an extension, which will increase about $700 for the year, but it allows us to have 1 extra TASER so that all of our officers have one, as well as it decreases, it's got updated software to be able to decrease data transfer so that they won't have to take as long as do that. And they are rechargeable versus the batteries that we used to have to purchase for each one. So technically that $700 is probably offset, if not even a little bit more than the increase of the year. So that is on the agenda for tonight. Handicap parking assessment on 5th Street was discussed. Millennium Therapy submitted a petition to the city requesting designated parking in front of their property for therapy patients only. The city cannot grant any individual business private parking spots on a public street. Just can't be done, unfortunately. But we did also look at, we will do an assessment with the police department about if we can add 1 or 2 potential handicap spots and maybe in that block. Past that, I did speak with a couple of the other businesses who are not necessarily in favor of adding handicap spots because there are additional people and workers that are parking in, on both sides of the street. So I think we do need some discussion of this further, but staff was gonna do some investigation, so we'll look at that a little bit further before we do anything. List of expenditures about speed camera was given, talked about what it's been used for, things like the lighting, excuse me, at St. Tim's Preschool, the lighting at the park, some of the things that we used at Hudson Days, the just demonstrative goggles and things like that. We talked about making sure that we do a better job of promoting ourselves as far as what we are spending that money on. And I don't wanna necessarily say luxury products or items, but things that we wouldn't necessarily have a budget to get potentially that don't have future cost, things like that. So we talked a lot about designating some of it for the fire department as well and helping them out back and forth. And the police department did a great job today of just putting out a new post about some of those things, and surprisingly got a lot of good feedback on that post. I was pretty impressed with that. Talked about replacing the next squad car in the rotation. So it's the one out, one in, one out. This squad car would be for fiscal year 25. We did not order one in 23-24 because we got two in 22-23, so we skipped 23-24. And now want to get it on the fiscal year for 24-25 because they too take about a year to order and get the vehicle in. It would be replacing the oldest Explorer. So as soon as, we do not know when Order Bank will open up, but to get this approved means that as soon as the order bank does open, we will be ready to go to place that order so that we can have it for 25. And they will get it and be able to have that there. We'll get all the specs before anything gets ordered anyway. And then the next thing that we talked about was, oh, by the way, the last Explorer we will be trading out. We're selling the last Explorer. We're gonna get a price on trading it in and then potentially sell it at sealed bid because there is someone that's interested in purchasing it but would have to purchase it through sealed bid. And we will set a reserve at least what we would get for trade-in so that it's at least equal to that and not costing any additional money. And then the next thing we talked about is the K-9 unit, and this is going to be on council for discussion tonight.
They both are,
They both are.
yes.
And I'm gonna reserve a lot of this conversation for that, because it is asking to update a vehicle early, using some additional funds from camera monies and things. So we'll talk about that when we get there, and then we adjourn.
Any questions for Kate? And I guess I didn't allow for, have questions for Chrissy too.
They were fast.
Okay, all right, thanks. No public hearings, so we'll move on to general government. The Hudson City Council maintains the right to waive the first and second readings of the ordinances presented and may pass the third and final reading of the same ordinance within the same council meeting. Item A, discussion and action to approve the second reading of ordinance 887, an ordinance repealing chapter 166 of the City Code of Hudson and all of the amendments thereto.
So moved.
Second.
Can you remind us what this is again?
This is the zoning code update.
Eliminating the current zoning code. so
Yes,
we can
it's
put the new
eliminating
one.
the current zoning code and updating it with all of the new legislative things that we have missed throughout the years and just more or less overhauling it because it hasn't been done in 20 years.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Wyatt,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Buns,
Aye.
Sewell. Aye. Reister.
Aye.
All right, motion carried 5-0.
Okay. Item B, discussion action to approve the second reading of ordinance 888, an ordinance to amend the Hudson City Code 2017 by inserting chapter 171 floodplain management ordinance. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay. Any discussion?
This is just updating to keep the floodplain management out of the original ordinance.
Correct, yep, it's a standalone section or chapter.
Perfect. All right, roll call.
Wyatt,
Aye.
Sewell,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Buns,
Aye.
Reister.
Aye.
All right, motion carried 5-0.
Okay, item C, discussion action to approve the second reading of ordinance 889, an ordinance to amend the Hudson City Code 2017, chapter 170, development ordinance subdivision regulations.
So moved.
Second. Can you summarize this again too?
Yep, this one is pulling the subdivision, regulations out of the overall zoning code and again, making it its own standalone.
Okay, any other discussion? Roll call.
Lawson,
Aye.
Reister.
Aye.
Wyatt.
Aye.
Sewell.
I,
Buns.
Aye.
Alright, motion carried 5-0.
Okay, item D, discussion action to approve resolution 3112, a resolution approving the state of Iowa annual urban renewal report for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Any other questions or anything? Roll call then?
Alright, Reister.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Wyatt.
Aye.
Buns.
Aye.
Sewell.
I,
Okay, item E, discussion action to approve resolution 3113, a resolution for approval to accept donation from the Hudson Volunteer Fire Department Incorporated, and this is for the Stryker power load system.
So moved.
second,
Any other? Roll call then.
Wyatt.
Aye.
Sewell.
I,
Reister.
Aye.
Buns.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Alright, motion carried 5-0.
Thank you, Fire Department
Yeah.
Incorporated.
Item F, discussion action to approve resolution 3114, a resolution for approval of the project for the City Hall roof repair for the City of Hudson, and it's what Chrissy had talked to us, told us about earlier, that this is, right now it's at 43,800, but to go no more than 45,000. And that's to come from the reserves.
Yep, correct.
So moved.
Second.
So did we get competitive bids on that?
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was,
that was it.
okay.
Is this replacing all of the sheet metal?
Correct.
Okay, because it'd be, gosh,
What-
1980 something that it was put on?
That was what I was gonna
Yeah, I
ask.
was gonna say,
Yeah.
this was built in 80.
87.
It's 40, been
87?
40 years, yeah.
Okay.
So it's done its job
Yeah, yeah, and we've been looking at it for
10 years.
probably as long as I've been here.
Oh, and we
Um,
were looking at it before that even,
Yeah,
when I was
and
on.
I think the last quote that we had, a couple years ago was at like 60 or 70,000, so,
Timeframe?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
Will it be this year?
I will try, yeah. Once we sign it, it'll just be up to the contractor on what their timeline is.
And probably when they can get materials and.
Yeah.
Okay, roll call?
Lawson,
Aye.
Reister.
Aye.
Buns,
Aye.
Wyatt,
Aye.
Sewell.
I,
Alright, motion carried 5-0.
Item G, discussion action to approve resolution 3115, a resolution approving the hiring of a part-time deputy city clerk per the attached job description and hiring policy. So Chrissy's got a kind of a timeline there that will open, put out the job ads September 7th, due October 6th. Start interviewing, and then hopefully have a name come to us then on the council meeting on October 23rd.
It's okay. So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? Roll call?
Alright, Wyatt,
Aye.
Reister,
Aye.
Sewell,
I,
Buns.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Alright, motion carried 5-0.
Item H, discussion action to approve resolution 3116, a resolution setting a public hearing to amend chapter 120 to the City of Hudson Code of Ordinances. It's a legislative update. The public hearing will be on September 11th, and this has to deal with the liquor and wine and beer licenses.
Have fun.
so moved, second, whatever.
You're first.
Second.
All right, any other discussion? Roll call?
Sewell,
I,
Lawson,
Aye.
Buns,
Aye.
Reister,
Aye.
Wyatt.
Aye.
Alright, motion carried 5-0.
Item I, discussion action to approve resolution 3117, a resolution setting a public hearing to amend chapter 7 to the City of Hudson Code of Ordinances. And again, another legislative update. Public hearing will be on September 11th, and this has to deal with fiscal management.
Yep, and this is incorporating Senate File 718 into our code. So,
Which has to do with how we handle our money or something?
yes, yeah, so Senate File 718, it was the property tax reform that the state legislation passed this last session, so that'll all get incorporated and what,
Which will probably
exactly,
change next year again.
yes.
So moved.
Second, third, whoever.
Okay, got it.
Any other discussion? Roll call?
Lawson,
Aye.
Wyatt,
Aye.
Sewell,
I,
Reister,
Aye.
Buns.
Aye.
Motion carried 5-0.
Discussion, item,
Jay.
J, thank you, I crossed it out, so discussion action to approve resolution 3118, a resolution for approval of TASER contract with Axon Enterprises Incorporated for the city of Hudson. And again, this was for the 5-year contract.
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? Roll call?
Reister,
Aye.
Wyatt,
Aye.
Sewell,
I,
Lawson,
Aye.
Buttons.
Aye.
All right, motion carried 5-0.
Item K, discussion action to approve resolution 3119, a resolution to purchase police department squad vehicle for the city of Hudson. And again, this was coming from 24-25 reserves.
So moved.
Second.
This is the one in the regular rotation.
Right. Okay, roll call?
Reister,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Buns,
Aye.
Sewell,
I,
and Wyatt.
Aye.
All right, motion carried 5-0.
Item L, discussion action to approve resolution 3120, a resolution to approve the purchase of a replacement squad car for the K-9 for the city of Hudson. And again, the funding for this is coming from the traffic camera revenues.
So moved.
I'll second it to start discussion.
Okay.
So, first of all, does anybody have questions?
So how old is the vehicle today that's the K-9 unit?
We bought that, when we bought the two ghost cars together, they both had 50,000 miles on them apiece. And it's a 2017.
And I think we bought him in 2018 is when we bought him. Yeah.
So they're used. For the sake of the can, I want to take that out because I know Reese was caught on that at the public safety meeting. I want you guys to see it as just another vehicle because we have money set aside for the upfit for it. We have over $5,000 that I want to put into the K-9 fund that we got from a seizure for some drugs that Officer Weber did about 4 years ago. So that will pay for the outfit. But going back to the car, that car is kind of doing what I'll say Jamal's car is doing. It's starting to nickel and dime us. And I figure if we have the money, we can do it now, get in that rotation a lot faster. Because the K-9 unit is a special unit. Cairo can't go into a regular squad car. It has to go into that unit. So that's the reason bring it up now.
So where would this car be in our rotation? 25, 26?
It'll have to go in the next one, yes.
But would that be our next one coming up, Chief Banks?
I would, the other ghost car has higher mileage right now. Officer Walters drives that, but we're starting to run into the same problems we're doing with Jamal's car. So it would be next in the 25, 26, correct.
And both those two we bought used.
The ghost,
We
two
did,
ghost cars
okay.
we bought used
Okay.
from Kansas City.
Okay.
So, once this one is done, correct me if I'm wrong, if we approve this one now,
Yep.
this would put us, we have the luxury of being able to use some of the speed camera revenue to offset this cost, so it doesn't have to have a budget amendment with it. Which is one of the reasons that we would have the ability to do this. But the next car then would be 26, 27, or 25, 26?
25, 26.
Okay, so
That will come out of my budget, out of my reserves for
25, 26. And then,
But you would order it in the
24.
I'll
fall.
order it a year from now.
right,
So,
and then it would hit 25.
yeah.
Okay, if those two cars are gone, the two used 17s,
Not the two used, the one is the high mileage one that, how many miles you got on your car, 180?
181.
181, so that will go with you guys' approval of the last car, that's gonna come in the 24, 25, correct? That is-
Jamal's.
Jamal's.
Yep.
Yep, so I'm just asking to purchase a car earlier, not out of my 25, 26, just to purchase another car now that will come out of the camera money.
So are we, if that one goes into the float, Kate, what's that do future?
Nothing, so we now have 7 vehicles, okay? So the plan was to do it every 5-year, a vehicle would be replaced every 5 years, so there is gonna be 2 years that we're gonna have to replace 2. This would get this 2 done now, and put then, neither one of these cars would be replaced for another 5 years. Next year would be 1, the next year would be 2 probably, and then the next year would be 1, and that keeps us on that 5-year rotation. So it does not get us out of rotation, nor does it add anything to the fleet, which was a very large concern. We don't wanna add anything more to the fleet because we think we're pretty well stacked at this point. And we talked a lot about, making sure that the camera money usage is, put out there and transparent as possible to say, we're able to update this because we've got this money that is not now gonna come out of budget or raise taxes because we've got this money out of here. So no, it doesn't affect it, just puts 2 cars earlier than we would have done previously. Does that help?
Yep, that helps.
So there's a couple of years where we will have to be doing 2.
Which he will have to make sure his budget reflects before that year happens to
Yeah.
be able to do that with. Now, I do like that you say, and then that's a new thing that we didn't talk about at the committee meeting, is that the upfit for the K-9 is not included in that, because that would come out of the raised funds specifically for the K-9. So it's just the vehicle purchase from the city, that would come from that additional portion that was raised outside of that.
Was it raised, it was just taken off the drug dealer?
Well, whatever.
Well, and I
We
do,
raised it somehow.
I do have a question. So the other ghost car, then will that go to the SRO?
Yes.
So
Yep.
then you aren't going to have that many
Correct.
miles on it during the school year
Nope,
anyway,
Right,
unless something happens, but
right.
that will help with,
So that would be able to let that vehicle go to the 25, 26 year because it'll have less miles on it because it'll be at school with Jamal.
And
It
we'll
won't
have
be.
2 in 25, 26, right?
We'd have 1 in 25, 26, just that one.
Just out. And then,
Because we do 2 this year, 24, 25,
yeah.
1,
20
25, 26 would replace that one that he will be driving, correct?
His is gonna come out of my next budget, which will be 24, 25, right?
Right?
yes.
And then, like I said, this other one's just coming out of camera. And then when 25, 26 comes, then we'll replace the other ghost car.
Right,
And
which
then
would,
We're only doing 1.
Yeah,
we're only
doing
doing 1 in
then,
25,
yeah,
26,
Yep.
that's what we want.
and then it'd be 2 the following year.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there. I
Okay.
mean, with our extended fleet, it does help us spread our mileage around, so we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
But we would budget for enough to do basically, you're gonna budget enough
I
for a
budget
car and a
every
half.
year, yeah.
Every year, so that when you get to that 2, it's already there, and we don't have to increase that budget every single time.
'Cause technically, after we get rid of the next ghost car, then my car comes in that rotation, which I'm only at 92,000.
Right, so we'll have plenty of years in between.
Yeah.
So at our public safety meeting, we had a lengthy discussion about several things related to the police department. And without rehashing that whole conversation, I would, 2 questions I have are, and I know this is water under the bridge, we've already made these decisions, but remind me again why, and please understand, like, this isn't personal, I'm just reflecting questions that I get from people in the community.
Mhm.
Why does a community of 2,700 have 7 cop cars? So that's my first question. And I'm not trying to gouge you.
This is, I love questions, I love to be transparent. I mean, if I'd be any more transparent, I'd be naked, but I'm
Please don't.
I know. My thinking when this all came about, Hudson's bigger than majority of people know that. We know how big it is. We are asked to cover, I don't know, it's 8.9, 9.2, something square.
It's
miles.
9.2 square miles.
Yeah, so we cover a lot, and prior to me, they would have 2 cars, and those cars were sometimes going 24/7, which if one breaks down, gets an accident, pursuit, that takes another car out of rotation. Now, this car's gonna be flooded with miles, and then that's gonna be wear and tear. With expanding the fleet, it stretches out the mileage on each car. So if one's down, we have an extra. And two, I think it's a great recruiting tool in the fact that if an officer has their own squad car, they have a sense of like ownership, and they take better care of it. And so that was that's my other reason for it, because Jamal's car, I never seen tires so shiny. He takes, everybody that has a assigned car takes good care of it. And then once we get some people to move to town, it's a take-home car. And who wouldn't want a police car next to their house? I think that's great to show the community that you're invested and you're available if needed.
Great, so, another question I have is, if the mileage is being spread out over a larger fleet, is there any ability to, instead of changing cars out every 5 years, change them out every 7 years, and just, then you got one for one?
I agree. I mean, I'm not trying to throw Kay in her butt here. She said she wanted a new one every year. In my mind, I don't think we'll need one every year. I think once we get through this rotation of getting Jamal's done, K9 done, other Ghost one, and then, like I said, mine's 3-4 years down the road, I put maybe 5 miles a day on my truck.
And when did we get yours?
That's
March got it, probably 17 would be my guess.
What year is that one?
18.
So we
So
got
it's
it,
17.
so we ordered it in
Yeah,
17.
so I think we got the pickup in 17, and then we got the 2 ghost cars to replace one that was wrecked in 18.
Yeah, because we got 2 used instead of getting one
Correct.
new that year.
Yes.
Sergeant Ware's with mine, I mean, you guys, I give you guys the stats. I think Sergeant Ware's gonna put about 500 miles on and on. So it might come a time we don't need to.
Yeah.
We just need to get in that rotation, and so I'm trying to get to that rotation. And I think it must be smooth.
So without belaboring this, so this is helpful. Tell me, what cars do we have? We have 7 cars.
Mhm.
How many of them did we buy brand new? And how many of them did we buy used with a bunch of miles on them?
2 are used.
2 are used, so 5 we bought brand new.
Yes.
Yes.
And the longest ago that we bought a brand new car was,
17.
The longest will be Jamal's car, which will be 2017.
okay, so we're at, it'll be 7 years by the time we get it next year, right?
Mhm.
So, I mean,
One a year fits that schedule.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what I'm
saying.
I know what you're doing, and
Right.
we need to have it in the budget.
Right, that's
You know.
my ask was for the
Yeah.
budgeting purposes or the rotation, was that we have one budgeted every single year,
And we do that.
so that we can do that. We didn't used to do that
No.
before,
Oh,
now
no.
we are currently doing that. Now, if we don't have to buy one, that money can go to reserves and be able to be there for the next time that we do need to buy one, and hopefully we'll get ahead of that. My other thought before was, if we do stay, and even if it's 5 years and we trade on 5 years, you're gonna get a little more for that trade-in, which can come back, and you're gonna be able to get that newer vehicle that's in there and keep it ahead, as long as we're on that same rotation. We don't wanna wait until it's 200,000 miles and then get $3,000 for a trade-in, if you could get 15 grand for a trade-in and offset that just by trading it a little early.
Will they all get the same daily usage?
No,
Some are gonna get used
No.
more than others, so
Correct.
it
Yeah.
throws off that trade-in
Right.
and the time and mileage.
but it would certainly allow us to be able to have that flexibility once we've got that rotation of dollars built up in that budget, so that we plan on replacing one every year without doing that.
And
But
just
I like
because-
the 7 years too, if you can stretch it 7 years mileage and
well, it sounds like
rotate
we just
everything.
did with Jamal's.
Yeah.
We
I
did.
mean, it's,
Yeah.
and,
We kind of just held on to his.
Mhm.
I kind of wanted to get rid of it earlier, but it fits for what Jamal is doing right now, so.
so,
And I was
Because I
just
would
gonna say, there's
eventually-
nothing, to say that we change our practice here in the next couple of years and,
Absolutely.
switch it to the 7 years.
Previously, though, we were budgeting like, there was being $10,000 a year
Yeah,
put
it
into
was-
reserves for a police car, and then it came down to, holy crud, we've got 150,000 miles and this car's breaking down, and what are we gonna do to buy this car? At least this gets us to plan ahead, to be able to have that money, reserving each year. If we don't need to use it, put it back into the figure out what we're gonna do with it, but at least the money is being budgeted for a vehicle if we need to switch one out.
Some of the discussion the other day was some things surrounding the police department. No one's doing anything wrong, I mean, just to be clear. But some things in the community are at fever pitch regarding things, with traffic cameras, K-9 unit, the amount of money that's being spent on vehicles and things. And I was just conveying that I think, and I think there was, Mary Busey kind of affirmed that, Kate, you've heard some of this stuff. I was just suggesting that it's not a great look right now to say, okay, let's upgrade 2 instead of 1. Now, I would say this, is if we can get on a 1-year rotation, on a 7-year rotation, 1 per year, then it kind of, I mean, I could get there. But what I don't wanna do is what we do around here a lot, which, and I'm not just talking about the police department, I'm talking about the council. We say, well, we're gonna just do it this time, but next time, we're gonna look at it really, really carefully, so that we don't have to have this uncomfortable discussion again, and then we never look at it carefully. And so, when you say, maybe in the future, if we don't need to upgrade one, then we can just let that go, or in a couple of years, we can change our plan from change all the cars out every 5 years to change all the cars out every 7 years.
So do you think, Officer Banks, or Chief Banks, 7-year rotation would work well? Can you pencil it out in your mind for 1 for every 7? Not jumping ahead of Kate, I'm just saying, can you project that?
Well, I wish I could predict the future, but as we grow, the more, I say Hudson, the boundaries are not gonna grow, but crime can uprise, and we're gonna be driving back and forth, so I can't control how many miles we're gonna put on or not.
So today, the K-9 car is 1 driver.
Yes.
Tomorrow's car could be 2 drivers.
It could be.
So we go to 1 car, 1 driver, the miles should come down?
Yeah.
But you have to consider, we do get nickel and dime with repairs. And that's been going on for a number of years.
The repairs
as well.
are not getting
No,
cheaper.
no, they're not. They're not.
And it also, Jeff, to your point, it would depend, and this is one thing I would challenge you guys to do too, is that car does not have to stay with that officer for the life of that car.
No.
So we can swap it out with the shifts that are less mileage once we get to that point. Now, obviously, longer-term employees, do they want the crappy old cars? Probably not. However, we need to make sure that we do take pride in them and keep them up. And we shouldn't get to a point where it's the old car falling apart,
Yeah.
is kind of where we're trying to get at, so it stays always in that kind of mode. Again, if we could stretch it out 1 every 7 years, I'd be all for it to do 1 in and 1 out, because that was my original thinking when we were gonna have 5 cars. We've gone up a couple from that. If we didn't have the luxury of the camera money at this point, I would have said no right away. Because it's not being budgeted for, it's, to me, we need to wait until it's in the next budget. The only reason that I said we should bring this to council discussion instead of making any recommendations from committee was to have this exact conversation, to be able to say, okay, we know it's early again. We had talked last year about we're gonna do it early and that's it. We're gonna wait and get on this rotation. Okay, now we're coming back and saying it's gonna be early again.
Well, I wouldn't even thought about coming to you guys if it wasn't for the county.
Exactly. So that's the reason though that I would come to council to ask for your guys' additional opinions. Matt and I hashed this out quite a bit in committee. And Matt even said that he could vote for it through committee and potentially come here and say no tonight. So that's his, prerogative to do whatever. But like I said, the only reason I would bring it for discussion is because we do have the luxury of that camera money to be able to spend it as, I don't wanna say a luxury item because it's not, but be able to upgrade early without consequences out of that budget.
And we would hope that camera money is gonna start to decrease.
Absolutely.
We would hope,
Yep.
so next year, if you were to bring that to us at a reduction in the camera rate, then I'm like you, Kate,
It's a
I'd
different
probably
budget.
have to say,
Yeah.
we gotta put it into the rotation somehow,
I agree.
if the money's there, I can support that effort.
Any other
Does that
discussion?
answer your questions or anything?
I'm good.
Lori, you got any questions?
I don't think so, thank you.
Roll call then?
All right. Lawson,
Aye.
Wyatt,
Aye.
Reister,
Aye.
okay, Sewell,
Aye.
Buns.
Aye.
All right, motion carried 5-0.
Thank you.
Item M, discussion action to approve resolution 3121, a resolution for approval of payment request number 3 regarding the Wood Street reconstruction project.
So moved.
Second.
This is the final?
That's just what was
No,
gonna be
this
the-
is not the final.
This is not the final,
The next one will not be very large.
No.
but that'll be the final, right?
Or will that, the paving might be in the next one.
Yeah, I think the next one will be
Paving.
the final.
Yeah, the paving wasn't on this one, was it?
No, it was not.
Okay.
No.
So next one will be pretty good size, but they've got some sidewalks to finish up, which is hindering on if they can do it, whether the building is gonna fall too close, that they might not be able to pour the sidewalks quite yet, so that's kind of what we're waiting on up there. But besides that, the project's done, so.
Okay.
Yeah, the only thing that may be left, if it's not the final, the only thing that would be left would be retainage.
Any other questions? Roll call?
Lawson,
Aye.
Sewell,
Aye.
Reister.
Aye.
Buns,
Aye.
Wyatt.
Aye.
Motion carried 5-0.
Okay. Item N, discussion action to set a work session to discuss city hall updates.
So moved. That's gonna be September 11th, or no, when are we gonna set that?
That's what we're discussing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well then,
Do you have
I'm
any
not moving
suggestions?
anything.
I don't. I am out of the office the 11th through the 4th.
Why is my calendar not there?
Sorry, I'll update that. The 11th through the 14th, so, do you want,
Yeah, because you won't be here then on the 11th.
no, I
When our
won't, no,
next
Katie
council.
will be here. So could we set it, for September 25th and do it instead of a personnel meeting?
If you don't think that there's gonna be anything,
Doubt it.
and that's at 4:45.
Yeah,
Or we could
we could change it.
switch it to 5 or something.
Yeah, if you think an hour would be, if that would,
We work on what we can for an hour, and if it's past that, we have to do something else, we have to do something else, I would say.
Vision's coming.
yes, yeah, I will reach out to them and that way that'll give them enough time to get their piece together.
Yeah. I would-
Not that this would prevent you from having that, but just so you know that I am out of the country the 21st through, I think it's like the 28th,
Okay.
What was the date you said?
maybe 29th or 30th.
9:25.
Priorities, come back early, I mean, come on, if you're out of the country.
Well, you got phone service, don't you
Right?
worry?
You're still with you.
Won't be joining via Zoom, sorry.
We can shoot for the 25th unless that doesn't work for Envision and then I can reach
At
out.
5 p.m.
Yeah, let's do it 5 p.m. And then if that doesn't work, then we can figure something else out.
We can go from there.
Yeah, yeah.
Send out something.
Yes, yes.
All right, there are 4 informational items in the packet. Reminder items, regularly scheduled meetings held at council chambers except for the library board. Public Works Committee meeting, September 13th. Mayor's Task Force Committee, September 19th. Personnel Admin Finance, September 25th at 4:45, which at this point
Which
be
will
canceled.
change, yeah.
Yep, or Public Safety Committee meeting, September 28th. Next council meeting, Monday, September 11th.
Sorry.
That's okay. And then Monday, September 25th. Just a note too is that we are going to invite people, committee members from the admin personnel finance to that discussion on the city hall updates.
Oh.
They're gonna go ahead and we'll make them aware of it, so. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can I say no to that sometimes?
You good?
What
All
happens
right,
then?
we are adjourned.
We just have to
You get, you